Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Raptors. My name is Annie. In a few moments, you'll be meeting Sean and, of course, some of our lovely birds. Quick show of hands, who here is visiting the Raptors for the very first time today? Oh, almost everyone except for Chris and you guys down here. Lots of fresh meat in the audience. Good. Well, welcome, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed taking a little bit of time to look around our center, see some of our birds. Our goal, our mission here at the center is to promote education and conservation, and it's our hope that by bringing these birds up close, closer than you probably ever had a chance to see them before, that you will come away with a better appreciation and understanding for these birds and the really important roles that they play in our ecosystems here on Vancouver Island, but also globally. Now, in addition to the work that we do here at the center, flying birds for education, a lot of our birds also have jobs. They're working birds, and they're working with us at places like Vancouver International Airport and at landfills across Vancouver Island, and we're using natural predator-prey interactions. Our birds are predators. They are naturally very scary to prey species, and when they see them flying in the area, most of the birds think that that's probably a pretty dangerous scenario situation, and they move off and they leave those areas. So this is really important, as we know from incidences in the States. Geese and airplanes don't really go so well together. So the work that we do at YVR is really important. We're there from dawn till dusk, 7 days a week, from October to May, covering the peak migration seasons in the fall and in the springtime. So it's really important work, and our birds are really good at their jobs. So that's a little bit about who we are and what we do. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time, a couple quick reminders. The birds are going to fly very close. They might even fly right overhead. Please do not reach up and touch them. These look like little sausages, and we don't want to see anyone lose their fingers. No, they're not pets. They don't like to be touched. They're not like parrots or other social birds. And I promise you won't like it very much either if you try. So just keep your hands to yourself. Second of all, please don't bring out any food during the flying demonstration. I have all the food that they need right here. You do not want to share your pizza lunch with a hawk. And last but not least, if you need to leave the flying demonstration at any time, you can do so up either of the two gravel paths behind us here. All right, any questions?
Any?
Yeah?
Flashes.
Oh yes, please, if you have flashes, please turn your flash off. We have a lovely sunshiny day here, so we don't need to blind our birds with any flash. All right, am I missing anything, Chris? Anything else? All right.
You're good.
All right, let's take a look up the hill. Paco! Here he comes. Hi, little buddy. Oh, you're gonna go up into the tree? That's okay. So this is Paco. We'll see if we can bring him down here. Come on, Paco. You can do it. Come on. No, I'm gonna sit in the tree all day. How about over here? There we go. Lovely. Oh, you're gonna go. Bye. Where are you going? Flying demonstration, my friend. You can use some very lovely soaring in the tree, so we'd like to see you a little closer. No? Is it my glove? I recently changed my hair color, so that often throws birds off for a few days. We'll see if he wants to come down here to us down. Come on. There we go. So this is Paco, and Paco is a Harris hawk. Now, if you are from BC or from Vancouver Island, the kind of hawks that we'll see here most often are the large red-tailed hawks. So if you drive down the highway and you see a large bird of prey sitting on top of a telephone pole or tree, most likely it's a red-tailed hawk. We also get a lot of Cooper's hawks here. If you have a bird feeder in your backyard and you see a small ball of feathers come barreling through your backyard and pick off a song sparrow, that's most likely a Cooper's hawk. But we don't find these guys living here. Harris hawks are found in more arid regions. They live in places like Texas, Arizona, down into Mexico. And if you've ever been to the desert, you probably know there isn't a whole lot going on there. They do have their very own rich and unique ecosystem, but it is a pretty tricky place to live if you are an animal, including a predator. Why don't you want to fly to my glove today? What if I put something big and tasty on it? What about that? Yeah. Oh! That hurt my feelings, Paco. Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, there isn't a whole lot of food available in the desert. And so you cannot afford to be a picky eater if you are a Harris hawk. These guys eat anything and everything that comes their way, and that includes things like snakes and scorpions. You hawk plants like that? There we go. I'm not so bad. I just There we go. All right. So we eat snakes and scorpions. If you take a look at his long legs as he comes back down here, you'll notice that it looks like he's wearing shorts. And so that helps him to stay cool in the hot temperature. But his legs are also covered in thick scales, and those help protect him from the bites from some of this venomous prey that he may encounter. Can you come here? Holy mackerel, Paco. What is your deal today? You want to come down? No? All right. Have to give you some more time to get over this change in hair color. It's not that drastic. It's not like I dyed it pink or anything like that. You little weird bird. There you go. So take a look at these legs. You can see, let me see if I can get them on the glove here for you. You try to get down that head. No vegetarians here, I'm afraid, so alright. So I'm walking by here, take a look at those lovely yellow legs, and notice those thick scales that are on them to help protect him. So yes, they take small prey, but they also take larger prey as well, something like a jackrabbit. And to put that into perspective, a jackrabbit would outweigh Paco by about 2 or 3 times, so pretty unlikely that he'd be able to catch that prey on his own. And what makes the paracops really cool is they're actually one of the very few truly social raptors out there. Most birds of prey do not get along with one another. There you go. Good job. So, like most other predators, these guys maintain territories, and they defend those territories using their talons and their beaks. You will see mated pairs working together during the breeding season to raise their chicks, but beyond that, you don't really see raptors hanging out with one another. So it is unusual to find a social raptor species. But what these guys do is quite unique. Now, in the raptor world, it's the females who are larger. And when you are larger, you are dominant. So in the raptor world, it's the females who rule the roost. What these guys do is a large female gets down or goes up into a tree. Come on, Paco. So the large females go up into the tree, and the males do something kind of unusual for a raptor. They run along the ground. And what they're doing when they're running is they're flushing out prey into the open, something like a great big jackrabbit. They'll even run right down into the rabbit burrow and flush that prey out. And it's the big females that are sitting up in the tree. They're the ones that swoop down, and they catch and kill that prey, and then everyone piles on top and shares a meal. So by working together, these guys are able to thrive in an environment that would otherwise be very difficult and challenging to survive in. More running? There you go. Good job, buddy. Now I'll turn him around and take a look at that lovely long tail. Come on. Oh, I see, I dropped a piece. That's what you want. Down the hatch. We work on bird time here, everyone, so I apologize. Can you swallow it? I know, it's a big piece. That wasn't really intended for you to eat right now. There we go. All right, can you come up here? Up here. Come on. Go. There you go. So he has this lovely long tail. These guys are what are known as a para-buteo hawk. They have big, broad, soaring wings, not unlike the red-tailed hawk, but he also has a lovely long tail, which means that he's able to maneuver quite well in the air. And that enables him to catch small birds. So we're going to get him to demonstrate that today. Paco, hop. There goes some food. And he caught it. Let's give him a big round of applause. Now, I know it happened very quickly, but did you guys see what part of his body he used to catch that food? His feet, his talons, that's right. And that is the defining characteristic of a raptor. Raptors are eagles, owls, hawks, and falcons. We get the word raptor from the Latin word rapere, meaning to seize or to grasp, and that is the defining characteristic of these birds. They catch and kill their prey using their strong, powerful feet that are equipped with a long, sharp talon at the end of each one of their toes. The second feature that the raptors have in common is a sharp downward hook beak that they use for ripping and tearing their food into smaller, more manageable chunks. And then last but not least, they all have... What is your problem today? All right.
I didn't know.
You're clearly the new favorite, Sean. They all have fantastic eyesight. So we don't know exactly how well they can see, but we do know that they see in very high visual acuity. And that simply means that they can be soaring high above, look down beneath them, and spot their prey in far greater detail than you and I could at those same distances. Are you showing off your bum wiggle? That's very great. Can you come down here? Sorry?
He's got something in his talent.
Oh, he's got, what have you got in your talons? Ow. Good job, buddy. That's not something that you're going to be able to eat, but you can go up there and check it out. Sometimes when they get things in their feet, and that includes our gloves when we're training young birds, anything that's touching their feet, the instinct kicks in and tells them to hold on. Because of course, once they finally catch something in the wild, they don't want to let it go. That could be the difference between life and death. And so when they do get things in their talon, sometimes that instinct takes a few moments to override before they realize that, hey, it's actually just a piece of bark. I'm probably not going to eat this. All right, Paco did a really good job. Let's give him a great big round of applause. We're going to send him off with Sean and get ready to meet our next bird. Now, again, it is really important that we make sure that Paco is safely out of sight, out of mind. I just mentioned that most birds of prey do not get along with one another. We don't want to have Paco on the flying field while we bring out another raptor. He views this area as his territory, and so does the next bird, and they will not appreciate seeing one another in what they view to be their specific hunting ground and home. All right. Are you good, Sean? All right, perfect. Residents in cities, we are seeing the loss of these important habitats and a decline in barn owl population. Good girl. There we go. Now, despite the loss of habitat recently, barn owls are still a really important part of the agricultural habitat, and that's because of what they like to eat. They live in barns, and so these guys are big-time mouse predators. And we don't really like having mice around. They are known to be vectors of disease for human populations, and so we prefer to not have very many mice around. Especially not next to places where we're storing food for ourselves and for farm animals.
Die oude bij ons ook s'nachts. Ja, verschrikkelijk.
And so barn owls are really important in that aspect. They help to control rodent populations. Now, a little barn owl like Luna here would like to eat between 2 to 3 mice a night. And another fun fact about the barn owl, you guys are also kind of like the rabbits of the raptor world. Most raptors will only breed once a year, and they'll have, on average, about 2 or 3 chicks. But if the conditions are good, barn owls will breed throughout the entire year, and they can lay, on average, up to 6 eggs, sometimes even as much as 14. So, in a single year, a family of barn owls can actually consume up to 10,000 mice. And so again, this is where they're really important in helping to control some of these rodent populations.
Is this full grown?
Yeah, she's full grown. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so owls are a little bit different from our other raptors. They look very soft and fluffy and cuddly. They kind of look like cartoon or stuffed animals already. And that's because they are primarily nocturnal animals, and so they have a few features that set them apart from the other birds of prey. First of all, most owls, not so much the barn owls, have great big eyes, and they lack the color or the ability to see in color. They don't really need to see in color because they are out primarily at night, and in low light conditions you can't see color anyway. So they do away with all of those cells, devote the entire surface area of their eyes to the light and dark percepting cells. So they don't see in color, but they see very, very well in low light conditions. More importantly for the barn owls, they have fantastic hearing. You got a little piece of quail stuck in your beak there, Luna. Now you can't actually see her ears. Her ears are simply a hole on either side of her head. But you will notice that like many owl species, her face is kind of flat and shaped like a satellite disc. And that flat face helps her to collect and gather sound waves and direct them into her two ear holes. Just like if you were to cup your hand around your ear, you're increasing the surface area of your external ear here. You can bring more sound waves into that hole, and you can hear better. So imagine doing that a million times better. That's what owls have. And their ears are also asymmetrical. They're uneven. So she has one ear on the top facing forward, one ear on the bottom facing back. And because her ears are slightly uneven, that means that the sound waves enter each ear at a slightly different time, and she can use this information to triangulate and pinpoint the exact location of her prey. And they've actually done studies on species of or on barn owls, and they place them into rooms that have been completely blackened out, introduce live prey, and within moments the owl has swooped down and caught their food. So using their hearing alone, these predators have no trouble finding their food. And something like a great gray owl, which is the largest species of owl that we have in North America. These owls can be sitting at the top of a very tall tree in the boreal forest, swoop down, punch through 3 feet of snow, and grab a mouse or a vole that they've heard rustling beneath that snow. So again, never ever having actually laid eyes upon it, they're able to successfully catch and kill their prey. Now the last feature he has, the quail's kind of like peanut butter for dogs. It gets a little sticky and sometimes it gets stuck in her beak, so she has to figure out how to maneuver it. We'll just give you a moment. But you're showing off your lovely feathers. Now, owls look very soft and fluffy. They are soft. They are fluffy, but they're definitely not cuddly, so don't try to touch her. But they are covered in thousands of soft, downy feathers. If Luna were to get wet, she would look quite a bit different. She would be like one of those Persian cats when they go into the tub. So you would see that she would decrease her size by probably at least a third, if not half. So she has about 2 inches of feather covering most of her body. The feathers on her wing also have a special serrated edge, and that minimizes the turbulence of her wings as she flies through the air, giving her the ability of silent flight. And so all of those very soft, specially designed feathers absorb sound and give her the ability to sneak up and surprise her prey. Now, you might have noticed, however, that Luna does not use herself to her full advantage, and she is quite a chatty little bird. That's because Luna is what we call an imprinted bird. She was raised by people here at our center. In fact, she hatched out here at our center in the springtime. Are you all done? Good job. And so she thinks that I'm mom. All of you guys look somewhat like me, so you are potential parents yourself. And she is making the barn owl baby call. This is the call that babies make to their moms and dads for food, mostly for food, but also for comfort and security. You guys are all new to her, because then appears to be very nervous, so she seems like she's doing very, very well. So it's probably mostly calling for food. And she'll continue to call as long as she's in her care, which will most likely, don't get me my food bag, be the rest of her life. Now, in the wild, she would have been booted out of her nest by now. Raptors grow very, very quickly. Even something as large as a bald eagle is full grown in size by 3 months and fully fledged and flying by about 4 or 5 months, depending on the species. So she was flying by 3 months. By 4 or 5 months, her parents would have booted her out, and she would have been on her own. And she would have very quickly realized that squawking like this no longer brings mom and dad back with a nice big juicy mouse. It probably tells everyone that you are there and will make it a little bit harder for you to hunt. So she would have very quickly dropped this call and adopted a more stealthy presence. But again, because she'll always be in our care, she's kind of like that kid that lives downstairs in mom and dad's basements until their 30s and shouts up for food to mom every once in a while. So as long as she's with us, she's going to continue to be a noisy little owl. All right, Luna, you've done a really good job. Let's give her a great big round of applause. We're going to pop her away. And just so you guys know that birds don't live in these boxes. They're just temporary holdings while we
Lekker. Nou, ze vertelt me weer veel zoveel. Zei je?
Oh ja, dat is toch weer.
We have one more bird to fly for you guys this afternoon. Before we bring him out, I have another skill testing question for you. What is the fastest animal on the planet?
Cheetah.
Cheetah. That's a really good answer. If we had a flying cheetah here, what would you do? Yeah, I don't know either. That would be pretty scary. Yeah, I'd probably have to maybe throw you in its path and then see if that slows it down. Yeah.
No.
Cheetah is the fastest land animal on the planet, so you are right in that sense. But the overall champion of speed is the peregrine falcon. They've been clocked at over 300 kilometers an hour. You knew it! Oh, you were just trying to trick me? Let's go with that. Yeah, so they've been clocked at over 300 kilometers an hour. Oh, hi! You're coming out now. That's okay. So this is Cheetah. Oh, sorry, Zephyr. We do have a peregrine falcon named Cheetah. That's why I'm getting mixed up. I'm flying him later today. So this is Zephyr, though. And Zephyr is a peregrine falcon. He's just 4 months old. And he is by far the best peregrine falcon I have ever trained. And he's doing exactly what I would like him to do. He is going up. He's looking for lift. And this is what hunting peregrines do in the wild. They get up high. They look down beneath them using their fantastic eyesight. And once they spot something to go after, like a pigeon, they tuck in their wings and they bomb down towards the earth. And this is where they reach those incredible velocities. Once they reach their prey, they ball up their talons into little fists and they punch their prey out of the sky. Believe it or not, he could quite comfortably take down something as large as a mallard duck. And so, even though he's just a wee guy, he only weighs about 600 grams. He is quite successful at taking larger prey. Now, as I said, he's doing just what we like him to do. If I were flying Zephyr at Vancouver International Airport, I want him to go up and I want him to go out. Take a look at him flying, those long, narrow wings, that long, narrow tail. That silhouette is very recognizable. It is imprinted in the minds of many prey species. When they look up and see a peregrine falcon flying overhead, that is scary. That is probably a pretty good indication that you need to leave the spot. So when we're flying, working at bird control sites, we need our birds to go up and out so they can tell as many birds in the area that they're there. Once Zephyr gets a bit more training, he will do some stoops to the lure. The lure is what I have behind my back here. It's a leather pouch with some wings sewn on. It's a fake bird. And he will stoop down, just like he would in the wild, and try to catch the lure. And at the last second, I'll pull the lure away. And it's very rewarding. It's kind of like cat and mouse. They get very excited. And we'll do this a few times. And that stooping motion, that drop down of a peregrine falcon is even more scary to prey in the area. That tells them that it's not a peregrine that's passing through. This is a peregrine that's looking for food. And so it does a very good, effective job of moving off unwanted bird species. All right, but Zephyr is doing really well. I'm going to let him soar for a little bit longer because he's finding some nice wind today. That is because they're very fast. But just like a sports car, they are fueling that speed with their own gas. And so flying like this is very energetic as possible. You can't really maintain it in the long term. Although he is getting a nice little thermal right there. So he's getting some nice lift without too much effort. But generally speaking, these guys are quickly pumping those wings. So they do burn a lot of calories. Alright, he's done a really good job. I'm going to let him go out one more time. And then I'm going to give him the secret word to let him know he's going to catch this lure. Zephyr, hey! Let's give him a big round of applause.
Yeah.
Just going to bring him out here a little closer so you guys can see him. Alright. So he's just tucked into this too. There's a nice tasty piece of raw quail meat on the edge of the lure for him. Full feet on him. So it looks like I'm making him surf, but I'm actually doing some training with him. When we're training our falcons to hunt, we want them to be just as successful as peregrines out in the wild. If he were hunting on his own and he caught something and only had one foot on it, it's a good bet that that prey would get away. So by tugging on the lure here, I'm reminding him that he has to keep both feet on the lure. That way, if he ever gets scared off by something like a bald eagle, which does happen sometimes, bald eagles and peregrine falcons are like oil and water. They do not get along. And he flies off. We do fly off the birds with telemetry, but sometimes they go off pretty far, or they dip down into a valley and it's hard to get a good signal, and it can take us a day or two to find him. We want him to be able to be successful on his own, and so training our peregrine falcons is not just for our own benefit to take them out into industrial sites and use them as bird control. We also want to train them with all of the skills that they would need to be successful on their own if they need to survive for 1 or 2 days while we track them down and find them. So these are lessons that he is learning. He is doing brilliantly. We'll get Sean to bring him up close on the glove here, and you guys can get a closer look. Zephyr is our last bird of our flying demonstration, so I do hope you've enjoyed seeing our birds in action this afternoon. If you have any questions, once again, my name's Annie, this is Sean. Please feel free to ask, and we'll be feeding Gaston, who is our marabou stork, in about 15 minutes. So if you want to head up to his aviary and see him get some lunch, we'll be feeding him up there. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming to the Raptors, and enjoy your day here, everyone.
Thank you.
Ja, 15 minuten bij de weer, weet je niet.
Nee, dan ging ze iets vol.